Did you know that in the picturesque surroundings of northeastern Lithuania, not far from the small town of Kupiškis, right next to Durpeta, there is a fen? According to a legend, this swamp was the result of the whole town sinking into the ground. Of course, we don't know if the town really sank into the ground, but it is certainly true that a great treasure is hidden in the fen. The first treasure is peat, one of the most abundant minerals in Lithuania. Peat is an organic material formed from decaying plants, leftover wood and humus. Peat usually forms in low areas of the landscape, where the excess irrigation and conditions for moss growth are created. Another treasure in the fen is fresh water, which irrigates many rivers and regulates the water balance. A fen is not just vegetation. Globally, fens are water reservoirs. That is why we need areas that are full of water. That is millions of cubic meters of fresh, clean water, and an area that has a unique vegetation. And indeed, fens store huge amounts of water. The plant that stores the water grows here, peat moss. You can see that this plant takes in 8 times more water than it holds in volume. Over the last 100 years, and especially in recent decades, fens have been intensively exploited, as peat is one of the renewable natural resources used for crop production, substrate production, energy or chemical feedstock. However, human activities also cause considerable damage to fen ecosystems. No new fens have been opened since the independence of our country. We currently operate all the fens that were opened during Soviet era. Therefore, today, we still have a job to slowly close them down, because, unfortunately, there are fens where there is very little of this resource left. The process of peat formation is very slow. In a year, a layer of peat only up to 1 millimeter thick can form. So, the Durpeta peatland deposit formed over the course of 5,000 years. Before beginning to use the peatland, the thickest layer of the peat was 7 meters. And the middle of the fen stood 5 meters higher than the edges. Peat mining in Durpeta began in 1936, when the management of Pieno Centras built a little peat facility in Durpeta and began mining. During the Soviet period, the Kupiškis State Peat Mining Company used not only the peatland in Durpeta, but also in Pasvalys, Biržai and Švenčionys districts. Peat for fuel and peat briquettes were also made here, along with insulating peat slabs and litter peat. Later, the material mined in the peatland here was used to improve the soil. So the almost 90 years of history behind the Durpeta company means that it can rightfully call itself one of the oldest peat mining and processing companies operating in Lithuania at present. Private, limited liability company Durpeta has been your reliable partner for almost 90 years. The Durpeta peatland covers an area of almost 1,000 hectares. After draining, the peatland is divided into 20-meter wide fields. The top layer, 11 mm thick, is torn away from the capillary with a milling machine, preventing it from receiving moisture from the peat layer below, and then dried by gating, similar to hay in summer. Under ideal conditions, 1 day is sufficient, but peat usually takes 2 to 3 days to dry. The dried peat is then pumped up using pneumatic machines, or 5 beds are made in the field and mechanically collected. The peat is transported and piled at the end of the field. The piles are then rolled into the caravan by means of jogging machine. This is done to prevent precipitation and to ensure that the peat gets as little air as possible. The natural peat is widely used in gardening and flower growing to improve the physical and biological properties of clay and sandy soils, for storing and preserving vegetables and flower bulbs as long as possible, for transporting seedlings, as well as for mulching the soil. In addition, natural peat makes excellent litter for animals and birds. So it is not surprising that people of Kupiškis are to be thanked for the fact that parks and golf courses are possible in the barren lands of Saudi Arabia. It turns out that Lithuanian peat goes by the shipload to countries all over the world. We have clients everywhere, from South America to South Korea. We transport our products in shipping containers to South America, Malaysia, and as well as countries across the Arab world. We also transport our products and land to absolutely all of the countries in Eastern and Central Europe. That doesn't mean we ignore Lithuania. The local buyer, that is, the buyer right in our backyard, always was, is, and will remain a priority. Over the course of many years, the company's staff, managers, and even its name have changed. Simple, half-wooden peat presses have been abandoned in favor of automated systems for controlling the production of peat of the highest quality. Having worked here, I understood after a while that many companies with the peatland can produce raw material here in Lithuania, and we began to think about where we were going next. The result of all this was a modern facility for producing various substrates, which we finished building in 2009, and thanks to which we significantly expanded the spectrum of our sales in terms of geography as well as assortment. The new facility and its quality control system ensure that today we have more than 500 recipes for making substrates. This allows the company to make specialized products of exceptional quality for the largest vegetable and flower farms in Lithuania and abroad, as well as substrates appropriate for even the smallest of amateur gardens. During the last few years, our clients have significantly changed if we are referring to amateurs. And I'm happy to say that we have succeeded in growing together with our clients. We have developed more than 10 new products for amateurs, starting with heath and ending with various houseplants. We understood that our clients need advice and techniques, as well as a very broad spectrum of services, from the production of the product itself to its delivery to the client's backyard. Clients also need plans and designs for how to grow plants when they need additional fertilizer, how to water plants, what soil is right for growing, and I'm happy that clients continue to come back because their plants are growing, produce harvest, and that gives us the greatest satisfaction you can imagine. Simas Zaretskas, a long-time client of Durpeta, has managed a large-scale flower farm for 20 years near Kaunas. He says he has never been disappointed by the products and services offered by Durpeta. For a number of years now, we have been working with Durpeta, and we've been satisfied with the results. It's a company that responds flexibly to every order made, and it makes the substrate that we ask for, even in pretty small quantities, if that's all we need. They have a very broad selection of substrates to choose from. We like their quality standards, as well as their quickness in producing and delivering the products. Darius Balionis, a blueberry grower in Utena district, agrees with Simas. It's great that such a company worked with us particularly caringly when we were establishing our farm. After all, this required a lot of work. They ensure high quality, promptness, and have the ability to deliver even small quantities of the product. They are very flexible. And for a small farmer like me, it all worked out very well. The increasing demand for the company's products and requirements for the quality made it necessary to fundamentally rebuild the production facilities in 2010. The newly built substrate facility is recognized as one of the most modern in the Baltic states. Its construction cost about 4.3 million euros. The brown and black peat mined during the summer is processed in this facility. In a year, more than 500,000 cubic meters can be processed. That is an enormous amount which is not easy to transport from the field to the facility. Therefore, Durpeta has built its own private narrow gauge railway, the rails of which run across the entire area. Production of the peat and substrates begins when the collected raw material comes by narrow gauge railway to the substrate facility, where it is dumped and moved to the screening and sorting line. Next to the facility, there are places to store various types of peat. Peat that has dried for 12 months in the fields goes into the facility to be milled, mixed with crumbled peat and then screened. The screening process separates the peat into 4 main fractions. Fine-grained fractions of peat substrate are ideal for planting seeds and growing vegetables and flowers in seabeds and modules. Such fractions are also the best size for sport pitches and fields, golf courses, lawns, and public recreation areas. Peat of mid-sized fractions are the most universal and most frequently used for growing. These fractions, or their mixtures with other fractions, are widely used for growing vegetables, houseplants, outdoor flowers in trays, flower pots, planters and greenhouses, and also for improving soil. The coarse-grained fraction is quite porous. It has excellent properties of permeability and water absorption as well as drainage. These fractions are used as main components for making substrates of the highest quality. They are also used for growing large flowers, berry bushes, evergreens, decorative plants in large and hanging planters and in containers, as well as for mulching roses, bushes and other decorative plants. When planting trees and bushes, it is recommended to mix such fractions into the soil. Cotton grass is the main component in production of biofilters. It can be used to improve soil structure. When milled and ground up, it can be mixed with peat or other materials. It is used as an absorbent for oil products. When mixing fractions of peat in different sizes and adding various microelements and fertilizers to the mix, a qualitatively different product is obtained, that is, peat substrate. The screened peat is stored for further processing in indoor and outdoor bunkers. Powerful Volvo loaders ensure the movement of the required peat fractions between the screening line, the storage areas and the mixing line bunkers. A modern computer-controlled system for management and quality control allows the proper recipe to be used for preparing various substrates. Having received an order from a client, a substrate recipe and desired quantity is sent to the operator of the mixing line, and the mixing process begins. The entire mixing process is completely automated, and each stage is carefully controlled. At the end of the mixing, a protocol is generated in which deviations of the content of the substrate mixture from the recipe are recorded. The mixing margin of error usually does not exceed 1 to 2%, and that is an especially high-quality parameter indeed. The peat substrate moves by conveyor belt to the packaging workshop, where 4 packaging lines are located. Before being packed, the substrates must pass through strict quality control check in the laboratory. We are in the laboratory, which is the basis of our quality assurance. The stability of substrate quality parameters is guaranteed by automated dosing system. All products, both peat raw material and manufactured substrates, are tested in the company's laboratory. During the production process, we continuously check the bulk density, pH and electrical conductivity. The data is recorded in the quality control log. The control sample is retained for a year in a vault. All products are labeled as appropriate. Preparation for the substrate mixture is only half of the job. It still needs to be packaged to be convenient for use. In the modern packaging workshop of Durpeta, substrates are poured into packaging of various sizes, satisfying the needs of the most varied clients. 5 to 70-liter bags are used for substrates for gardening amateurs, while 150 to 250-liter packages are used for substrates for professional growers, vegetable and flower farms. To package substrates for the largest of farms, 3 to 6 cubic meter bags are used. All packaging, pallet sorting and wrapping operations are mechanized and automated. All our products are labeled as appropriate. Each package is labeled with the product code, product name and batch number. If there are any questions about quality or composition of the substrate, the client is asked to report the code printed on the bag. This ensures that the client has a feedback loop with the substrate manufacturer, allowing Durpeta to ensure maximum satisfaction of its clients' needs. Our guiding principles are the responsible use of natural resources, focus on needs of our clients, and consistent product quality, as well as flexibility and responsibility to ensure a constant supply of high-quality products. We aim to meet client expectations, help solve problems, and advise on product selection and use. The final stage of producing the substrate is the wrapping of the pallet with a protective sheet. In this way, it becomes more resistant to environmental influences and it can be stored outdoors for longer periods of time. The transport apparatus recognizes where the prepared pallet is coming from, determines its size, weight, and necessary wrapping parameters, generates and prints a label, which is then attached to the pallet, being wrapped in protective sheets. The packaged products are loaded into transport or stored in storage yards next to the facility, waiting for delivery to clients. Professional forklift drivers ensure a never-ending stream of deliveries of materials necessary for production in the workshop or transfer of the products to the storage area and their loading onto transport. The goal of Durpeta employees is to responsibly use peat resource to supply our clients with the highest quality production that is unimaginable without constant improvement and use of innovations in production. We continuously monitor and improve our quality management systems, increasing their efficiency and effectiveness. We organize our activities in accordance with the requirements of legislation, EU standards, and other documents regulating our activities. As of 2020, the company has quality management standards in place: quality management, environmental protection, and occupational health and safety standards. With the technology and equipment in its disposal, the company is able to produce products of exceptional quality, specialized for the growing culture of a specific country in the world. Durpeta uses only the most advanced technologies in the production of peat and peat products, wood fiber and wood chips, giving the company and its customers a serious competitive advantage. We will participate in the largest international exhibition of its type, IPM Essen. A lot of large companies look forward for this trade show as an opportunity to meet with partners from around the world and to bring back new technologies to their companies. Each year, more than 100 new varieties of trees, decorative bushes and flowers are presented at this show. We attend and set up our stand where we meet more than 20 to 30 clients each day, which makes me even more pleased that the company has managed to win over some new clients. There is no doubt that during the Soviet occupation, as well as today, peat mining has significantly influenced the economic development of the Kupiškis district. In recent years, there have been 140 permanent employees. The permanent as well as seasonal employees, depending on their needs, are trained to work with the latest equipment, and they are further trained in various seminars and courses. As a conscientious and responsible company, Durpeta is also committed to local communities, supporting various cultural, educational and environmental projects. As we have been the largest company in Kupiškis district for a number of years, we try to allocate funds for various sporting and cultural events in the local community. We certainly do not forget the sick and the less fortunate residents, because we are the largest company in one of the smallest districts. We are the largest local employer, and more than half of our employees are the sole breadwinners for their family. And families are sometimes quite large, so our social contribution to the community is in fact considerable. Without a doubt, we also remember our other units in Šiauliai district, Telšiai district and Kretinga district, because the peatland is located in rural locations, and today our country's policy is oriented towards the big cities. Therefore, we have to be little ambassadors of our small rural communities and contribute what we can to the better, more cultural, more athletic and healthier life of our community members. The past 90 years are just a blink of an eye in nature, just a thin, 9 cm thick layer of peat formed during this entire period, but at the same time they also represent several generations of Durpeta employees, their effort and labor, as well as experience and belief in the brighter future of the company and the community. We have changed the production technologies and the machinery. We have bought new technologies for processing, as well as a modern equipment and machinery that would probably be the envy of any agricultural enterprise. A lot has been done, and I cannot say that the road has been very easy, as it has indeed been difficult, but when we look back, we can see that the decisions that were made to buy new processing lines, to buy new screening lines, packaging lines, machinery, were really the correct ones. And today we are standing firmly on our feet. The company has expanded a lot. We have large areas of raw material, and we truly look after them. Over the last 3 years, the company has substantially modernized its technical fleet and production fields, with the purchase of modern German tractors, excavators, and green tech bulldozers that protect and preserve the environment. At the same time, the introduction of the latest technologies is also improving the professional qualifications of employees, as well as investing in automation of production and management processes. The company's ambition is to become a modern organization that uses peat resources optimally and responsibly by applying modern management methods. We are a company focused on client satisfaction and trusted by the public. Durpeta extracts and processes peat, a natural resource, and we are very aware of our responsibility towards our environment. That is why we are constantly focusing on introducing new, environmentally friendly production methods, complying with all the rules for the installation and operation of peatland, and making sure that when peatland is decommissioned and closed down, the fen ecosystem is restored. I am very happy that in the 30 years I've been working, the number of governments I've worked for has changed, and they've all been unanimously in favor of turning peatlands into fens. The Durpeta group of companies is probably the only one that is already very active in this work, and we are bringing peatland back into fens, and we have live examples of this. The process is not easy, long and difficult, but we can already be happy with the results. This area is about 40 hectares in total. You should say that the most of it is already in real, recovered, raised bog. We are all talking about thousands of years, hundreds of years. Until this project, we had no idea how long it would take for a fen to recover to the point where there would be no need for human intervention. Man has come into it, used it up, and we should all leave it as it is. We have to complete a few, I say, small things, and in 5 years' time, it won't be apparent that people once worked here. Durpeta, let's grow together.